Alright, this time we have a flank scenario. This is 2,250 points, my Bretonnians versus an Ogre Kingdom's army. An opponent I've never played before. He's been playing a long time. He's a real good player. So in the flank scenario, I took 600 points out of my army, and they can't start the game on the board. They come in kind of like miners do, except they cannot come in on my opponent's side of the board, but I can bring them in from my table edge or from either side starting on turn 2. So that's it. Other than that, it's really just a regular game. So you can see we have a couple woods. There's a hill in the middle. Upper right, you can see some ruins. We're treating that as a building. And middle right, we have some impassable terrain. So forgive my ignorance on the Ogre Kingdom's army. I don't know what a lot of things are called. The guy on the left on foot is some hero level character. There's an ogre on a rhinox. Don't know what they call that. There's I believe he's called a hunter, and he's got a couple, I don't know, I think they're cats with him. And I know that he has my opponent told me he has a crossbow that works like a bolt thrower. So because I have knights, that's concerning. He's got a butcher in with a unit of 4, what are those guys? Iron guts. 4 iron guts with a standard. You can see to the right of them there's a slave giant. To the right of the slave giant is a big old unit, 6 iron guts plus a general. And I don't know how his general is outfitted, but for the most part I prefer not to get into hand-to-hand fighting with an ogre general. He's got 2 units of bulls. I'm not sure about the painted one, but I know the other one has great weapons. And in the building that's just off the screen, he's got his lead belchers. Deploying with a scout special rule, he's got some Noblars right in front of that impassable terrain. So my thinking was, I want to hold back so I can wait till the rest of my army gets on the board. I don't want to go against his full army with only a partial force. So what I thought I'd do is put some bait on the right side of the board, hope that he would send some people towards it, and put the things I care about on the left side of the board. He didn't really fall for it. He put his bulls and his lead belchers over here, but everything I'm really worried about he has over on the other side of the board. So my plan didn't really work that way. But anyway, got 21 men-at-arms, full command, got my trebuchet, some peasant bowmen. To the left of peasant bowmen are some fast cav. There's a unit, it's almost finished painted. There's a unit of Pegasus Knights. Next to them is my general. Then I have some skirmishing bowmen in the woods, Grail Knights, and then a unit of 8 Knights Errant with my BSB. And with the Grail Knights, I have a damsel. So that's what I'm on the board. And coming from off the board sometime later in the game, I'll have a big unit of Knights of the Realm with another damsel. I'll have a 6-man unit of Knights Errant, and I'll have another Pegasus Knight unit. And on that turn when I enter, I know I can march, but I can't charge. So again, my plan is just to hang back. I have my general where he is because my opponent has 2 large targets. He's got the slave giant and the rhinox, and I plan on killing whichever of those comes into my charge range first. So ogre turn 1, he moves up. Nothing of significance happens after that, but he looks like a big army. So Brett turn 1. Really the only, in terms of movement, I took my Pegasus Knights from the other side of my general and put them between my knight units on the left, and I spread them out a little bit. That's because I see his hero level character moving up, and I think he's going to just kind of be a hassle and maybe charge me in the flank and do enough just to hold me up or something like that. So I want my Pegasus Knights over here to take care of his hero level character. I don't want to take them into the face of those iron guts or anything else, so that's what they're there for. So my Knights units, you can see I'm hanging back. My general's looking at those 2 large targets, salivating. My fast cav is on the other side of the hill. I'm kind of march blocking from the front because he can't see me, he can't charge me, and I'm going to be able to keep him from marching. And really what I plan on doing, I want to take his general's unit and everything to the right of that and force him to my right. And then my general will take care of the giant, and so these other guys I have on the left can take care of whatever's left over here, the iron guts with the butcher, the hunter, and the rhinox. So that's what the fast cav is doing, is getting into position so they can just keep the side of the board clear. And they are within 12 inches of my general, so when I take my terror test, if I'm in range for that, I think I should be okay. Other side of the board, you can see I didn't do a whole lot. So Brett turn 1, I take the trebuchet, I launch a stone at his big unit of iron guts and lands on him, and I kill 2 outright, just flat, they're done. And they take a leadership test, their general's leadership 9, and they fail it and run a gazillion miles. I think he rolled a 12 for his movement. So huge break for me, horrible bad luck for my opponent. Just, with the hits, with rolling well on the d6 in terms of number of wounds I take, with him failing his leadership test. Huge. Trebuchet worth its points right there. So, yeah, good turn 1 shooting phase. So Ogres turn 2, he's bringing his Gnoblars down, and the men-at-arms are really kind of in a spot. I didn't really know what to do with them. I didn't want to turn them and go after the Gnoblars because what I really want them to be is bait for those bulls. I want the bulls coming this way, not towards my knights. I don't mind losing the men-at-arms unit as long as I can take those bulls out of the rest of the fight. You can see he's turning the other bulls, and so that's already not going according to plan. I need to get them coming back this way a little bit. So on this side of the board, it's still Ogre's turn 2. You can see he brings everybody else up on that hill looking down at my knights. You can see, though, that his giant is now within range of my general. You can also see his general's unit rallied. And actually, it's funny, he almost didn't. He rolled a 10. But because they had a musician, that worked for him. So he almost had some horrible luck with that thing. So Ogre's turn 2 over here. You can see he's doing what I feared. If I backed up my big knight unit, I could have charged his hero character, but then if he fled or if he just lost combat, his Rhinox is going to charge into that unit. So I didn't really like how any of that was looking, but anyway, that's what I'm looking at right there. So Brett's turn 2, and luckily enough, I rolled a 4 or a 5 or whatever, but my units come on the board. So at the top of the board, you can see I have the big block of Knights of the Realm, the small block of Knights Errant, and Pegasus Knights rushing onto the board, and you can imagine my opponent didn't like that at all, coming in right behind him from the flank. I took the Pegasus Knights over here and I charged. They could see that hero level character barely, but they could see him, so they got the charge there. I'm hoping to kill him and then fly off the board. That would be great. If you look at the board right there, you can see I made a mistake because if they lose combat and he chases me, it's going to come into my big block, and that's really just bad planning on my part. So on the right side of the board, you can see I'm just ignoring his Gnoblars and moving my men-at-arms up, trying to attract the attention of those bulls. If you look at my general, he declared a charge on the giant. The giant decided to flee, and my opponent rolled a 4. It was so I chased down, I chased him down. I probably only with an inch or two to spare. Just that's twice so far he's had horrible luck with rolling. So the giant's out of the game without me even taking a chance with it. So overran that, and because the giant was unit strength 5 or greater and was destroyed right next to that unit, the Iron Guts unit there on the hill had to take a leadership test, and they failed their panic test. And that's on a leadership 8 or 9, so that's 3 pretty unlucky rolls right there from the beginning. But it takes a lot of pressure off of me. The 2 big units I'm worried about are kind of retreating, and this one's retreating right in the face of a bunch of my units coming on the board. So there's another look at the board. I take my fast cav. They're still march blocking. Between my peasant bowman and my fast cav, I kill one of those bulls, so that was kind of nice. And on this side of the board is when I realized my mistake, because the Pegasus Knights, I lose one of them, and I win combat, but he sticks. And now what's going to happen is that Rhinox is going to charge into me. He's going to obliterate the Pegasus Knights, and then he's going to have a beautiful overrun into either the front or the flank of my Knights Errant unit, which is just silly. What a stupid, stupid mistake on my part. I really need to look ahead just a little bit at stuff like that. So there's Brett's turn 2. We will see what happens when the Rhinox charges.